Hey guys, welcome back to another awesome episode of Push the Point. It's our first take deck text. We're back with our usual Daniel Correas from the Sunflower Samurais. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Quite happy to be here, as always. I feel like I'm in my own home here in Push the Point. And let's go with the video. Let's go with the lightning.
Yes.
I was Team Earth, but before playing this deck, maybe I'm in the Team Lightning.
Oh, okay. It was one round, but you're here to show off Aurora Shooting Star, a new elemental Runeblade Lightning hero. It feels very much reminiscent to the Cheerios Briar way back when with the Tales of Aria set came out. But in short, once per turn instant, 2 resources, create an embodiment of lightning token. Activate this only if you played a lightning card this turn, and she's Essence of Lightning, so she can have lightning cards in her deck. So Daniel, break this down. How is this hero like? It's looking like a load of 0 for 4s from how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, the main idea is playing a lot of attacks that in some conditions they have go again. Especially you have to play a lot of lightning cards to trigger the ability of your hero and give go again to cards that are above the curve, but they doesn't have go again technically.
Right. Yeah, stuff.
It's a white hero that spread the damage among a lot of attacks and sometimes it does a lot of arcane damage and sometimes just becomes crazy and do a lot of combos.
Yeah.
Play a lot of instant in one turn and play 10 cards in one turn and it explodes.
Yeah, it looks like it's definitely it positions itself like obviously as an aggro hero, and there's quite a few aggro heroes out there. I'm not here to sort of like tier list this, but like generally speaking, aggro heroes become this like if you're not the best, then why play that one? But is there a world of where that split damage approach is actually like the little gem with this deck?
Yeah, but this deck has something different to another aggro decks, is that the damage input is bigger,
Right.
but the block value is really bad. As you will see in the list, we have included more 3 block cards to as a compensation for those cards that block for 2.
Right.
Because sometimes you need to block against the disruption.
Yeah.
It's a deck. The deck has a big reward, but also is really weak against disruption.
Right.
So we have to play around that. It has an identity against
Yeah.
other aggro decks. For example, in the past, when we play against Fi, a lot of cards block for 3, a lot of cards go for 3 go again. So if your deck goes for 2 go again or doesn't have a good weapon, you fall behind. And as you said, you're not the best aggro deck, you're not going to be there.
Yeah.
But Aurora depends on the meta. So the design line is interesting.
Yeah, that's fair. I've got one more thing about the hero ability. Is the 2 resources to create an embodiment of lightning token? Is her hero ability a bit sort of expensive because it requires a lightning to be played and it costs 2, or is it genuinely fine?
You don't play really much the ability for Aurora during a game, maybe 3 or 4 times, not that much.
Right.
But the deck sometimes the deck jump between doing setup and being just full aggro and spend on your hand. So the ability is interesting because you have to decide when you want to use it. Technically, the vast majority of the time, what you want to do is just use all your hand. You want full red hands to play, but sometimes the ability of your hero combined really well with your weapon, so it might allow you to do some setup because you have some little big plays you can do with setup with embodiment of lightning. We will see in the future.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's crack on through to the equipment. I did this with Max. I did the weapon last, but I feel like Starfall is like a very good start to sort of dictate how to go through this hero. It's her lightning reblade weapon. It has cost 1 resource. If you played a lightning card this turn, this gets +1 and go again. So it's 1 cost 2, go again. It seems very like unassuming, but this feels really, really good. It feels like the glue of the deck.
Yeah, it's the Zephyr. It's a Zephyr that doesn't break, and Zephyr is pretty broken, so the card is really good. Also, as a side point, you can play an instant in the middle of the attack. So if you start your turn hitting for 1, you can play an instant in the middle of the chain and just give it +1 and go again.
Yeah,
Your turn.
it reminds me of the old what's it, the mandible claws, and then you
Yeah,
yeah,
with the wind up. Yeah,
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 with a
yeah, yeah.
wind up, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You,
That feels like that.
you have those tricks. The weapon, as I said, fits really well with the hero ability.
Yeah.
So you can set up turns for future turns. Just remember, embodiment of lightning only affect to attacks action cards. So your weapon doesn't consume the embodiment of lightning. So
That's
sometimes maybe useful to set up turns.
yeah. I was gonna say I think that sounds more handy because it's like you sometimes you want like because the weapon's got go again anyway. It doubling up is on a go again is awful. So just being able to link that stuff in really well with the weapon that sounds really good. That sounds really good.
Mhm.
So let's go through. We'll start off with Crown of Providence. Okay, so I can see that you loaded up on the decent headpiece. How come not the new Runeblade? What's it? The new Runeblade legendary headpiece.
Yeah. Uh, Firstly, you don't really run a lot of non-attack actions.
Sure.
The new Runeblade helmet is a maybe. Um, as you don't run many non-attack actions, sometimes you can't really decide when you want to use the helmet.
Sure.
So maybe in builds that play like 12 non-attack actions or something like that, good will fit perfectly.
Mm.
And Crown of Providence, on the other hand, it's a headpiece that allow us to jump into the disruption. Because if you take a command and conquer, you can just use the helmet and keep playing with the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes what the deck needs is playing turns with 4 or 5 cards, and those kind of cards, Crown of Providence help us to keep doing pressure.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Very very straightforward. And then you got for the old tunic. Tunic's back. I didn't. I'm. Yeah, I can see this. I imagine that the hero isn't going so fast that you get some sort of like you know uh, a breakable piece of equipment like heart and cross straps or something like that. Like, do you think the game's going on long enough for tunic to be worth it?
Hmm. The tunic, it basically, if you are playing the game with a full red hand, it may allow you to play one starfall for free.
Yeah.
So the chess piece is swinging for 2 and blocking for 1.
Yeah.
If you play the ability twice, or if you want to be a little bit greedy with the setup, and not greedy in a bad way,
Yeah.
you can do a really big combo with the lightning legs
Yeah.
that
The
we will
grooves.
see
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a crazy combo with that. So it's more like, okay, from turn 3 I have the chance to just explode the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what it makes. However, the head cross wrap is also in the maybe section. So we
Uh,
can talk, every piece you're naming is in the maybe section, so maybe we can play about that later.
okay. Yeah, yeah. So face purgatory. Yeah, that's fair. At least I know that I'm in the right spot. And if you're sitting there listening, audience members, and you're going, "Oh, what about this?" There you go. There you go. We're on the same boat. Grasp of the Art Knight seems like
Yeah.
a really. I mean, very clearly solid piece of equipment. Um, is the creating two to make a rune chan? Is it just the block value? What's this card?
It's essentially block value.
Mm-hmm.
If you go first, you have the chance to create one rune and do a little bit of setup for future turns.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it may be relevant for future that it's a go again action. Because when
Yes.
you play the Grasp of the Air Knight, it has go again, and that
Yeah.
has implications for the Aurora specialization.
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
So
I have seen that in a couple of my games where actually there's just for that turn when you play it. Yeah, that's it's doing a lot of work. The
yeah,
word
yeah,
"go" again is the whoa.
yeah. It's a onboard 3 arcane for 2.
Yeah.
That is quite nice, but also you need a little bit of block in your equipment. So Grasp of the Air Knight is perfect for the hero.
Yeah, and let's talk about the lightning greaves. This card seems like the I don't know the big turn. It just seems perfect for what lightning heroes are trying to do. But yeah, it costs 1. It's an instant. Destroy this. Instant cards you play this turn get go again. Right.
Yeah.
It has
This card,
Arcane Barrier and Battle Worn 1. That's a lot.
I love the design of the Lightning Heroes because of this card.
Yeah.
Because they do something that only the Lightning Heroes do, that is giving go again to instant cards. There are a lot of cards in the deck that have empowers that have extra effects if you play instant cards during the combat chain, and those cards in general doesn't have go again. So giving go against 2 cards in the middle of the combat chain, I mean, gaining action points technically is not giving it go again.
Right.
In the middle of the combat chain is super strong.
It is.
Especially with 1 card that if you play instants happen a lot of things. We will talk about that later. But yeah, the Lightning Graves is the power play of the deck.
Yeah.
When you play the Lightning Graves, your opponent know that the turn will go above 20 or 25 damage.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's the main board equipment. A solid piece. If that was a piece of equipment that you would say that it's essential that we get, what would be the first legendary piece that you would get?
I don't think any of those pieces are essential for the deck.
Right.
You have a lot of different options in the common set or majestic set. So instead of the Lightning Graves, you have the Snapdragons. Instead of the Fiendal, you have the Cross Grab. Instead of the Grasp, you can use the card that creates into Rune Chance. I don't remember the name.
Oh, Vexin.
The Vexin.
Yeah.
You can use the Vexin. So, and the weapon is a token. So you don't really need any a piece in particular to play this deck.
Sure.
Everything works. The breath and butter is on the deck, not on the equipment.
That's fair enough. But if you were to pick one, what would be the first one you'd just run off and grab? I in my head, I feel like it's Lightning Graves, just because of that power turn.
Yeah. For me, I'm maybe more solid, and I prefer Grasp of the Arnite because there's no other piece that do something similar to Grasp of the Arnite during the game. But Lightning Graves is more accessible because the expansion is out, and now the prices of the cards and the accessibility to those cards is easier.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Let's get cracking. Let's talk about the deck now. I did this with Max earlier, and we went through some of the Earth cards. But I think fundamentally, what I want to ask first off is, what is the core function of this deck? Is it basically just to do the load of 0-for-4s? And I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not missing something in terms of I'm going over stuff and people then have to work it out. Are we doing a big combo turn, or is it just value and then just doing a big combo turn halfway through the game?
Yeah, it's a combination of setup and value. It's a combination of that. You have a couple of cards that do a big spike in your deck, but the general line is just playing a lot of cards that go for 4. Mm-hmm. But maybe we can talk about the Majestics that maybe are the more spicy ones, and then we will build around the Majestics.
Yeah, I think maybe, unless I've got this wrong, Arc Lightning is basically the big that's the thing that's doing all this stuff, because everything else you can just sort of see is 0-for-4, and you can see if I can get the go agains if I do it in this certain way, right? But Arc Lightning is the right. Here we go turn. Is that fair? Yeah. Let's talk about
Arc Lightning, but all 3 Majestics, Arc Lightning, Channel Lightning Valley, and Going in a Flash, are the cards that do the spike. But combining 2 or 3 of these cards just is the turn where the deck goes crazy.
Sure.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with Arc Lightning then. It's her specialization. Whenever you go again this turn, deal 1 arcane damage to any target. So there we go. That is the Grasp of the Arnite. You just go, I play this, I have go again, deal 1 arcane damage. And then this has go again, so you deal 1 arcane damage when you play this. The next action card you play this turn gets go again. So it's It's kind of like a, I don't know. It's it's the skies, whatever. I'm sure that bit is. How important is that bit of text? The next attack action card you play this turn gets go again, or is it just like a, oh, that's nice?
No, there are a lot of conditions that require the cards have a lot of conditions to have go again.
Yeah,
So having a natural go again is super good. Doing one arcane damage every time you do a go again is super good because at the end of the turn this is like 4 or 5 1 damage pinks.
yeah,
So one card for 5 arcane is really good. Giving go again is super good. And also you have moments where you can play maybe 6 or 7 cards in one turn. If all of them have go again, the card just spikes to the sky.
yeah. That's that. It seems that, and when I watched every time someone plays this, you know it's the turn where you're gonna go.
for for example, if you play a Snatch with go again, this card has made at that point you have made 2 arcanes and also have a 4 on hit draw one card. Just imagine that ratio.
Nice.
Do a 7, your opponent has to spend 2 cards or 1 card on equipment, and you have made a couple of arcane damage, and then you still have 2 or 3 more cards. If you have a blue card, you are attacking with your weapon for 2 and 1 pink, 1 arcane.
Yeah.
And also if you trigger the Grasp of the Arnite, you are doing 1 extra arcane and 1 rune. So if you have a blue card, you are doing 5 damage, spread between 2, 1, 1, 1.
This feels like, and you got 3 copies of it as well. So you just go, okay, cool. Do it. It's not like this one-off mega turn. It just feels like this is one of the big turns that we've got. Like it's like the revel of the turn, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also it's a yellow pitch that you never you will never pitch it, but it's a thing. It's there. You may use it, and also the card is lightning. So if you need to fuse or you need to trigger one embodiment of lightning for the future, it's an enabler.
Yeah,
So
100%. You
the
can
the card
you can see
the
why
card just
ball lightning.
is perfect. It's
Yeah, you
perfect.
can see why ball lightning was banned.
Yeah. Yeah, with
It would.
Bolo Lightning, this card is for me. It's like, oh, this may work in Living Legend. Should I try it? Should I try it?
Oh, ball lightning with this. It's just broken. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Channel Lightning Valley. This one is like, I don't know. This is crazy good. This is crazy good, I think. The first time you deal damage to an opposing hero each turn, draw a card. So the each turn part, probably not a big deal, big like a thing at all in Aurora. Different for Acilia. But it's also got Channel Lightning at the beginning of your end phase. Put a flow counter on this, then destroy it unless you put a lightning card from your pitch zone to the bottom of your deck for each flow counter on it. So, yeah, you need to make sure you got lightning cards in your pitch zone. If you've been playing this for a little while, yeah, we've all seen this before with Channel 8 Frigid and all the channels from Tales of Aria. But if it's your first time, make sure you put a lightning card in and on the pitch when you first play this, right? Otherwise, it's gone. But this card, Daniel, with the Arc Lightning, or just in general, this card just seems stupid.
This card is super good.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has the trait we are looking for. It's also an instant that
Yeah.
is super good because there are a lot of effects that trigger when you play an instant in the combat chain link. So it may be a surprise factor, draw one card, you keep it between turns, and we have in the sideboard one card that may work doing damage to your opponent in your opponent's turn. So sometimes can provide extra value.
Yeah.
Uh, this card when you have it on board it allows you to have 5 or 6 cards for future turns. So combining cards like Arc Lightning that ramp with the number of cards you play in one turn. Having extra cards on your turn is super strong in this deck.
Yeah. 100% feels it. Like, I've seen everyone that plays this. On its floor, you know that it's kind of like a Gorg Tome when you play it, right? Because if you're going to do your weapon and you just come in for one and they go, okay, whatever, no blocks, and you go, whoop, play this in, now it's got 2 go again. If this hits, cool, draw a card. So they're on its floor. There you go. Gold tome. Feels good, right? And then if it has go again, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
when it
and also,
stays for the next turn, and then you go, oh god, again?
yeah, if it gives 2 cards, the card is just a tome.
Yeah.
It's the tome they rent. So
Ugh.
the card is also you have a lot of lightning blue cards to complete the channel lightning.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so that's the reason why we run a lot of lightning cards in the blue with blue pitch.
Yeah.
And if you keep these cards 2 turns because you have drawn a lot of cards during your turn or whatever, the card just explodes. And if you combine two, the deck.
I've played a
As,
game where someone's done that to me, and I was like,
as,
"That's
as I
it's not
told,
fair."
it's a three pieces puzzle. If you fit 2 of them, if you put this card with one in a flash or with arc lining, the deck do the spike, do this little spike.
Yeah,
And also, if you combine this with the lightning graves, as I told before, that you
yeah.
have go again, then you can do all your attacks in your hand. You have a lot of action points to play,
It's
and is one of the build around cards,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, 100%. And let's talk about Gone in a Flash. So when this attacks, the next time you play an instant card, this chain link, you may return this to its owner's hand. Right. So just to help some people looking at this, I'm sure a lot of you have figured this out. What does that mean? And is this something that you basically get in order for this to get this continuous bang, 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 bang? You need to have instant cards and you need to have lightning greaves on activated. Is that right?
Yeah. You can give this card go again with embodiment of lightning or with arc lightning.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the combinations we talked before, and also we have to explain a lot of things about the rules because this card has a lot of tricky rules to explain.
Yeah.
First of all, it says the next time you play an instant card, this chain link, you return this to your hand. That means if you play an instant card during the reaction attack phase, this come back to your hand and you don't have go again, you don't have attack, and you have nothing.
So with the lightning, so if you have the essence of lightning and you've played this to give it go again, and you play an instant to draw that back into your hand, there's now no cards there, so there's no
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There's no go
So
again.
so you have to attack defend, then play attack reaction defense reaction, and then in the resolution step, after you do the damage, you can play one instant and return the card to your hand.
But what happens if you have essence of lightning? It still then because there's a go again after the resolution step that it then
If
look.
if the card has go again during the resolution step, you will gain the action point.
It's not in the linked step.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's the same thing that happens with the Herald and Prism. If the
Right.
Herald hits go to the soul, but everything happens in the resolution step and you still have the go again. So you have to have the go again, use this card, and in the resolution step, play the instant. So that's the reason why there's a lot of instant that doesn't work with this card. I
Right.
love the design of this card. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. And it's the reason why you need extra action points to use the legs because you can maybe at some point you will play a lot of instants and put this card back to your hand and play this card with attack, play another instant that has go again because of the legs, and put the card back to your hand and play it again, and you do all this combo stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do
And
all this time.
that's just this card, right? And that's what I'm loving about this deck at the minute. You've got Arc Lightning doing its thing, you've got Channel Lightning Valley doing its sort of thing, and then you've got Gone in a Flash doing its like they're not like dependent on each other to get a perfect thing. It seems like this deck is just doing like these three things are very powerful, and everything else is just cool, right? It's cool. Just it's cool. I guess I'm doing like these. They're
Is
just
four,
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything is four.
yeah. That's
That is
it.
more than three. That's everything we can say about the deck.
That's fair. That's fair. So those are the three sort of big power turns. I'm gonna throw in this card, right? I'm gonna throw in Burn Up Shock. I think Burn Up Shock is also some like it's that turn because every time I've someone just whips up a Burn Up Shock, it It's pretty darn scary, you know. So in short, it's a meld card. It's one of those. It is a bit of a new weird one. So you can play both half of this. So it's got shock as an instant side, and it's got the Runeblade action on the left side. When you play it, you have to pay for the both costs, but this costs 0, so it's fine. You just probably just play both halves, and then you deal with the 1 arcane damage, and then the burn up says the next time you attack, the next time an attack you control hits a hero this turn, deal 4 arcane damage to them. Go again, right?
Mhm.
So this card seems to me, you just play it and go right. It's electrify, but better because if it hits, boom, you just take 4.
It's a 0 for 5.
Yeah,
It's essentially 0 for 5.
yeah,
Uh, about this card, first of all, it says when an attack your control hits.
yeah.
That
Not attack
also
action.
not attack action. So Starfall, if a Starfall hits, you deal 4 extra damage. That may be really uncomfortable for your opponent to block everything for 4 and 2.
Yes.
Everything is a break point or a low point. And then this card is 0 for 5. You can play it if you play it in the middle of Gunning a Flags, for example. You can only play the shock part.
Yes.
So sometimes you will you have to decide if you want to use only the instant part or you want to use both parts. If you play the shock, only the shock, you don't have go again, but you have extra ways to give go again to going in flash and things like that. So
Mm,
you have to evaluate the value
got
of
you.
this card. Sometimes just play it as an action. It blocks for 3. That is really relevant.
Yeah.
And the card is solid. The only problem I have with this card, if you play against a deck that has a lot of equipment pieces,
Yeah.
maybe it's not that easy to hit. So sometimes in that turns you will prefer to use 0 for 4 instead of a burn up. So maybe it's a card you can put in your arsenal and just wait until your opponent has spent all his equipment.
Sure. But it
Or
does.
maybe it doesn't
But it is a block 3, which is really good. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's actually quite a tough thing to get for lightning cards to have block 3 on it.
Hmm.
So
It's solid. It's solid. And also as you say, this a lightning card. If you want to use burn up and then use the ability of Aurora because you have played a lightning card, you can do
mm,
it.
mm,
So it's quite flexible.
yeah.
Maybe as I said, a little bit bad against warriors and guardians, but against the rest of the field, the card is solid.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Right. So I think in terms of the big power play turns, I think that from what I can see, unless there's something that's missing, that
Sorry.
the power play turns. So you got your channel, arc lightning, gone in a flash. We talked a little bit about burn up. The rest of it is just the 0 for 4 side of things, right?
Yeah, it's 0 for 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
some of them 5 for 0 for 5, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it depends. It depends on the situation.
Okay, good.
The instant cards are a bit tricky because sometimes you can just do one a little bit of extra value if you play it in the right moment.
Yeah,
But all the attacks are 0 for 4. Yeah.
sure. Well, we'll quickly go through them. You picked up the Arcanite Shockwave 0 for 4. It's a fuse, so it's not lightning. Be very, very conscious about this, everyone. This is not a lightning card. It's an elemental Runeblade action card, but it has essence. You can fuse with it if you have a lightning card with your hand, and if you do, it deals 1 arcane damage to them. 0 for 4, blocks of 3. What made you want to have this in the deck?
Uh, this obviously works perfectly well with lightning,
Yeah,
and it's 0 for 5 if you have a fuse that 100% of the half percent 50% of the deck is lightning, so it's quite easy to trigger,
yeah,
and also combines really well with the extra arcane damage you can do during the game.
yeah.
Remember that playing Arcane Barrier against Aurora is tricky
Hmm.
because you are you renounce to a lot of block of equipment. So doing one single arcane damage, is not really worth it for your opponent to just pitch for to block it.
Sure.
So it helps you to grind during the game and do those extra damage that allow you to finish the game.
That's fair. That's fair.
Also blocks for 3. That is quite relevant. It's
Yeah.
not lightning, but it blocks for 3.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And we'll go for the Entwined Lightning. That card's really cool. I love this. The 0 for 4. If you've and then if you fuse with it, it has go again. And I have seen people play this with the electromagnetic somersault, which we'll get into, right? But I guess this is just in general 0 for 4 fuse. Where we go.
Fierce is what it is. It's a 0 for 4. You will play it not as your last card. It's quite easy to have a lightning card, so it's the card that you will play at the beginning. Just remember, it's an elemental action. It's not a lightning card,
Yeah.
so it doesn't trigger Aurora. It doesn't trigger all the stuff that works with lightning cards
Yeah.
exclusively, the weapon and things like that.
Yeah.
So 0 for 4. It blocks for 2. It's solid.
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid. So flittering charge 0 for 4. If you play an instant card, this has go again. Easy.
Easy. Also remember, it's the chain link, not the combat chain. So you have to play the instant card during the attack.
During the attack.
You can play it in the resolution, you can play it in the attack reaction phase, you can play it in wherever you want. It's not as restrictive as going in a flash, but remember, you have to use it.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. That's fair. A lot of the times, I would say people, like, if you're gonna get the damage in, like lightning press, do it in the reaction phase. If you're gonna be real cheeky with the channel lightning valley, do it. Is it no? It's still the reaction phase. Don't do it in the resolution phase. Basically, just do it in the reaction phase most of the time to get that effect off. Is that
Only going in a flash has to be played
only
in the resolution.
Yeah, only that one. Okay, so that's easy enough. Lightning Surge, another 0 for 4. If this was played in the Arsenal, let's go again. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the arsenal is really contested.
Yeah.
So just maybe sometimes going in a flash may end in your arsenal, or if you want to set up a big turn. So lightning surge, you can play it from your hand just for a 0 for 4, even if it doesn't have go again.
Sure.
So don't have any problem. Don't try to maximize this card always.
Yeah.
You can.
You can descend with it, can't you? Just whatever. Just another. Here's another
Yeah.
one. Right. Second Strike. Another 0 for 3. When this attacks, if you've dealt damage this turn, so doesn't matter. Arcane, physical. It gets +1 and go again. So it's another 0 for 4.
So remember, play Entwined Lightning and then play this one because you have made 1 damage
Yeah.
and you have go again.
Yeah.
All the deck is a breakpoint, so it's quite easy to trigger.
Yeah, no, easy. And then we've got Static Shock, and this is an elemental runeblade action card. So just like the Arcanite Shockwave, this is not a lightning card, but it has lightning flow. When this hits a hero, if you played a lightning card this turn, deal 1 arcane damage to them, so it's another 0 for 4, block 3. Feels very kind of similar to Arcanite Shockwave. Different things, but doing the same sort of job.
Yeah, but it requires to hit. This one is a little bit is worse than the Arcanic Shockwave.
Sure.
But still the card blocks for 3.
Yeah.
That is fine if you want. It's flexible even if it doesn't have go again. And the 1 extra arcane damage, as I said before, it's something that helps you to finish the game.
Yeah.
Doing some little pokes of 1 arcane damage is super good for the end game.
Yeah, I can definitely. That's definitely the vibes I'm getting here. Right, and then just to sort of go through these are the reds, and I know that there's some lightning cards down here, but I'll put them in the blue category. So we'll do the instances that are not attacks, right? We'll start off with the electromagnetic somersault. Really interesting card, right? This one is defensive and aggressive. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both ways, yeah.
Yeah. So a 0 cost instant, red. Choose up to 2 attack action cards with cost 0 or more on the active chain link. Return them to their owner's hand when the chain link resolves. Right. So my first little thing in my head is Entwined Lightning, fuse with electromagnetic somersault. Then in the resolution phase, play electromagnetic somersault, brings Entwined Lightning back to hand. Play Entwined Lightning again.
Play it again and do it again. Do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just break this down to me, because this seems like the offensive nature of this card. Is that an example? What I've just said?
Yeah. Obviously, you have the. Also remember that if you trigger the boots, you have extra action points to play this, and
Yes.
also they all count as if you have played another card. So if they have go again for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and you have arc lining, it's a way to do extra arcing damage. Also remember that some cards like Arcanic Shockwave have extra value because they go for 5.
Yeah.
So this card offensively may be a 4 or a 5 depending on the situation. Also in the defensive part, if you do you want to explain something before the defensive part?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, it targets the chain link. So you cannot target cards in during the combat chain. It can also trigger targeting cards in the chain link. So as you can choose 2 action cards, you can just block with 2 cards that block for 3. Maybe defend a CNC or a weakest link or whatever, and then use the electromagnetism somersault to put those cards back to your hand. So this card defensively may have a value of 6, and
Ooh.
offensively may help you to have more attacks.
Wow. So very strong.
is is one of those instances that provide has a lot of the sky is super high,
Yeah.
but sometimes you have it in your hand, you say, oh, everything blocks for 2 and doesn't have go again.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the first build, but now the more I play it, the more I like it. I
Yeah.
think it's super solid. It's super solid.
Absolutely. Electrostatic discharge is a zero cost
Yeah.
instant. The next attack action card you play this turn with cost 1 or less gets +3. It's kind of lightning press for the next attack.
But this has it's a little bit different because it works really well with going in a flash.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It it's different, but at the same time is same value at the end of the turn.
Yes.
It provides +3 to the next attack. It doesn't say lightning. It doesn't say elemental. So it may give a +3 to snatch or cards with on hits. And it's also a card that if you play in the resolution step with going in a flash, you can put back to your hand going in a flash and attack for 7.
Yeah.
So
That's
this card in the right situation is a value of 7 in one card.
right. That's crazy. That's
It's
crazy. And then speaking of lightning press, it's lightning press. Target attack action card with cost 1 or less gains +3. This is like the old classic Tales of
yeah.
Aria. There you go. Next
The,
attack's got +3. Done.
yeah, when they released this card, I was like, why this card is not an attack reaction?
Now you
and then
know.
and then you see 1 or 2 years later that being an instant has a lot of implications like, oh, these people design really well.
Yeah.
Also remember, as we told before, if you play this card over Gun in a Flash, you put Gun in a Flash back to your hand. So you're losing your attack because your attack disappear in the combat chain. So this
Yeah.
card doesn't work with Gun in a Flash.
No.
uh, you can play it in the resolution step if you want to put that card back in your hand. But in the rest of the situations, it's a card that force a no-hit.
Yes.
Super solid with the snatch, with static shock,
Yeah.
and also is a lightning card, so you can create embodiment of lightnings.
It's
It's a card. It's perfect for to fuse.
yeah.
If you fuse the lightning press, is like your opponent say, okay, so for 7 go again with Entron lightning. Okay, I assume it.
Yeah. It's basically be mindful about Connor and Flash. Other than that, 0 for 3. It's doing a lot of work. Doing a lot of work. Okay, we'll go through these blues. We'll end on the non lightning based stuff. So current funnel is a blue block 3. I imagine that
Hmm.
it can also be an attack.
Yeah, giving is an attack that has is a 2 go again,
Yeah,
and then it gives go again to the next attack,
that's really good.
and that's good. That's quite good. You can play it.
Yeah,
I mean, first of all, it's an attack action, so you can blink it with the somersault.
yeah,
It's fine. It blocks for 3. It's lightning for channel lightning valley. It can fix your hands if you have if you need to go again, extra go again, and if not, it's a value of 3 or 4 depending on the situation because you can trigger the gloves and attack with a weapon.
Yeah.
So it's the it's the bread and butter of the deck. It's
I,
like it does everything
it,
you need.
yeah. This has this vibes of Shadow of the Earth, Shadow of Ursa.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
all the vibes from that. Oh, it's low, but it's not what this is doing. It's what
Yeah.
it's enabling next. That it's just gluing things up really well. Yeah, solid card. I love it. Electrify. Yeah, so one cost, blocks for 2. You got the blue version, so pitching for 3. The next time an attack action card hits this turn, deal 1 arcane damage. It electrifies, paid from the arsenal, draw a card, go again. What brought you to electrify?
Uh, it it's a card that you are not. I mean, you can put it in the arsenal, and it's not terrible. You need the trade, the lightning trade. It's a blue pitch, and it blocks for 2. There is no other lightning card that blocks for 3 that we can include in this slot.
Yeah.
And if you can put it in the arsenal, and it does something.
Yeah,
You draw 1 card, it replays 1 damage. It's fine.
yeah, that's fair.
In the first version, I tried to include the red version of this card because 1 for 3 draw 1 is really good value. But as I say, the arsenal is in dispute. A lot of cards demand coming from the arsenal, and the deck by the nature of the deck demands putting cards in your arsenal and try to do setup of 5 cards. So sometimes you cannot. You are not allowed to arsenal the cards you want,
Right.
especially if they block for 2.
Got ya. That's fair.
So if Electrify would block for 3, I would 100% include it in red one.
Yeah,
Blocking for 2, it's a solid blue card.
yeah, that's fair. Heaven's Claw. It's the lightning action card, 1 for 3. It blocks for 3. It's your block 3 lightning card, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
vanilla blocks for 3. If you play it, it's because your hand is super bad. And yeah, is what it is.
It
Lightning
is.
blocks 3.
Yeah, lightning block 3. And then the Sigil of Lightning. You got 3 copies of this. At the beginning of your action phase, destroy this. When the season play, create an embodiment and lightning token. It's an instant. So what? There's quite a few. So what's brought this one in?
Yeah, at the beginning, I include this card and it was like, this is really bad. I don't like this card. It's an embodiment for 0 is not really worthy. But the more I play it, the more I see that sometimes you need instant cards to play your turn
Yeah.
to trigger Gun in a Flash. So a turn with Gun in a Flash is a card that I've named a lot during the deck building during the deck tech
Yeah.
because the value of playing 1 attack for 4 and doing 1 instant that put 1 card in your arsenal, the
Yeah.
value of 2 cards for arsenal
Yeah.
is good, and especially is giving you a future benefit. You're giving an embodiment of lightning that will work with 1 L flash. So it's a card that combines really well. It's really useful if you go second because you can play it in your opponent's turn and start the game with an embodiment of lightning.
Yeah.
And it's also a setup card because if you play the Seal of Lightning on the board and put 1 card in your arsenal, the next turn you have an embodiment and 5 cards hand. So it's a setup card, it's lightning, it's a blue one. It has like almost all the requirements the deck needs.
Yeah.
If this card would block for 3, it would be nuts. obviously, lightning instance with block 3 would be insane.
Well, it
So
would. Yeah. Instant cards don't have block. That's them's the rules.
Yeah,
If
I understand why this card doesn't block,
Yeah.
but it's fine. I mean, it's a card that I will like 60 or 70% of the times I will pitch it, but when I play it, it's good.
Yeah. That's
It's
fair.
it's above the curve.
That's fair. So let's talk about these non-lightning cards. E-Strike, easy enough. Seems like a right old contender. 0 for 5. Pick a mode. Probably the drawer card most of the time.
Yeah. I like the signature of a good deck is that when you can play Enlightening Strike with with row 1, the deck is good.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happens. That happened with Kaio in the past.
Yeah.
We saw Kaio is like, okay, we have an agility and we can do 5 go again.
Yeah.
Draw one.
Yeah,
This card is insane.
yeah,
If you have Embodiment of Lightning, this card has a lot of uses, and in the worst case, you can lower the value of your hand, but you can play it offensively doing go again.
yeah,
Or maybe swinging for 7 if your card has a lot of instants and you cannot fit it.
yeah. It's a very flexible card. Easy
It's
enough.
flexible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
snap.
and it
Oh,
also blocks for 3 because
yeah,
electromagnetic somersault sometimes demand having 3 block cards.
yeah. That's fair. That's fair. And then snatch. The card every windmill slammed this into their Aurora decks. It's 0 for 4. If it hits, draw a card.
Yeah, I prefer saying sorry, the
What? is this
okay.
is this
Oh
appropriate?
yeah, sorry, I forgot the name of the creator of the game, James White Running. I wanted to say it's James White Running, okay?
Yeah, it's James
Yeah,
White running.
it's yeah.
Who's that guy that made this game?
Well, we can use James White to draw one extra card. If we have Embodiment of Lightning, we draw one. We
Yeah,
we saw the power in the past, the power of this card with Rayar
yeah,
when we had Embodiment of Lightning and we have Lightning Press on things like that. Drawing extra cards is nuts. So the card fits perfectly with the deck.
yeah. And then Sigil of Solace, bro. I I get it now. After when you sort of go through this, it's an instant.
Yeah,
Game 3.
isn't it? Just I like the insane value of hitting with going in a flash,
Yeah,
using Sigil of Solace, gaining 3, and
yeah.
putting one card in the arsenal. The
Oh,
value of 2 cards 7 and 1 card in the arsenal is like that blows my head.
yeah,
It's insane. And also it's a way to when you have the tempo, it's a way to restore your defensive value of the deck. Because sometimes you are low at health, you have the tempo, but if you don't push that much because you are doing 4 and your opponent is just taking 1, you cannot use all. When you lose the tempo, you have lost the game. But sometimes when you play Seal of Solace, you just gain 3 life and you still can keep the tempo of the game.
yeah.
So I like
That's
this card. Is solid. Works perfectly with Gun and a Flash. Works perfectly with free drain charge. And essentially, we say that Electrostatic Discharge, that is the +3 instant that
yeah,
gives +3 to a 0 or 1 cost card, is super good because it's a 3 value or sometimes 7 value for 1 card. Seal
right.
of Solace is exactly the same, but it's not lightning.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Right, so that's your main board. That's your 60 card deck. You've also got 15 cards in here for your sideboard. We'll just quickly just run through the equipment. Direct Carapace, I imagine that is. Well, it's got Arcane Barrier on it. That's the main reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Arcane Barrier, but sometimes you need the 2 block because you are, as I said before, you are weak to the disruption. So against some decks, you need the 2 extra block to play against them.
Sure.
Guardians, Couriers, obviously people who make a lot of freaking damage, you need it.
Yeah.
The card is what it is. It's just numbers.
Yeah,
So
that's fair. That's fair. And then Shock Charmers. I was actually saying, I was hoping this would be somewhere mixed in. I don't know why I hope for it. I imagine it's mostly the Spell Void too.
yeah, is
Yeah,
a
I
card
thought it'd
that
be a cool.
I run it especially against Kano because
Yeah,
using I'm absolutely jealous of these heroes that has a Spellboy 2 have access to a Spellboy 2 because it makes the Kano matchup quite
yeah,
easier
yeah,
to play against. And the deck also doesn't have that many blue cards. At the end, you can run 15 in the best case. So having an extra way to block 2 arcane damage is necessary to beat Kano, in my opinion.
yeah,
Also, the ability you won't use it. Even just it's just a little trick about this card. If you go first and you want to cycle your hand, you can use Shock Charmers even if you don't attack, because it says the next attack and it's an instant action. So you
yeah,
can cycle your hand if you go first or you go second.
yeah. That seems pretty
It's-
handy. That seems pretty handy. Reaping Blade. Now, let me guess. Earth Heroes.
okay, this is like the weapon we have, but the text of the bottom side is
Yeah,
relevant.
yeah. Finally, the text at the bottom is relevant.
It's relevant because there are two heroes that can gain lives during the game, especially Bertans.
Yeah,
So Ripping Blade is a card that I play against those heroes, and sometimes if you have enough go again, it's a way to have one extra value on your weapon. If you don't need the go again from your lightning weapon, you can use Ripping Blade.
yeah.
I still don't know which one is better. I know
Oh,
people that is playing just Ripping Blade in the build. I prefer the go again, but if you have access, you can try both weapons and tell us which one is the best one for you.
yeah. Fair enough. That's fair. I like it. So let's go through some of these attack action cards. I'll start off with the obvious Warmonger's Diplomacy. That seems like a pretty good sort of bump on other Runeblade heroes, mostly Vincent, Viserai, might affect Florian, we'll see. And then it affects some rangers, right? Other than that, it's just
Yeah.
the tempo taker basically, because it doesn't affect you because you're just full of instances and attacks basically.
If you the worst matchup in my opinion for this deck is Azalea.
Yeah,
Azalea is super hard. This deck is weak to disruption, so you need an extra push to have a chance to beat him.
hmm
So I include Warmonger to play it in the slot for Arc Lightning because if you play Warmonger Diplomacy, you don't want to draw non-attack actions.
sure.
So you're going to do a sideboard, removing the burn up with shock and the arc lining because I don't really know the rule if you can play burn up with shock. You can play only the shock part if you play
I
Warmonger.
think you should. I think you can only like because it's two separate cards and you meld it together, so you can just play the shock, but you can't
Okay.
play the burn up because it's an
Yeah.
yeah. If you're
Anyway, running one card that do one arcane damage instant is not the card that you want to play.
no,
So you will remove those two cards and include Warmonger Diplomacy.
yeah,
Uh, you have the cyber little cyber guide in the list, so if you want to check it, when include Warmonger Diplomacy, when don't,
yeah.
yes, go on there and check it.
In the matchups. There we go. Beautiful. Right, so let's move over to. I want to say Flicker Wisps to last because that seems like a right old spicy card. Runic Reclamation, a 3 for 7. When it hits, they destroy opponents' aura. If you do, create a rune chant token. What's this doing? Is this a popper? What's this doing?
This is the signature card from the Sunflower Samurai because we all hate Prism.
Ah!
So I want a 7 strength popper, and also I think all the destroyer as effects that we have seen in this expansion, Ruined Reclamation is the best one. It blocks for 3 if you want to use the lightning instant to put it back in your hand, and also it's a card that destroys auras. It doesn't check the cost, and it's a popper. It's create a rune chant. The value is 8.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
this card is super good. It's one of the best room play cards, but it depends on the number of auras you can find in the meta. I
yeah,
think this card is good in Aurora, but is super relevant in Viserai and Vincent.
yeah.
So we'll see a lot of this card in the tournaments.
Yeah, for sure. Sigil of Suffering, pretty solid defense reaction if you deal Arcane. If you've dealt Arcane to the attacking hero, this gets +1. So, yeah. What's this one little defense reaction coming in for?
Yeah. If you run Warmonger's Diplomacy, you need something that is not an attack, a non-attack action to play with,
Yeah,
and also it has a precious interaction with one card in the deck that is Channel Lightning Valley,
that is interesting.
because you can use this card, have a value of blocking 4, do one arcane, and draw one card.
Yeah, that's
In this card, the value of this card just explodes.
yeah, that's actually very true. I never didn't consider.
the,
But
the
yeah,
value the value the value explodes, and also it's a card that is quite easy to block for against guardians, warriors, and all those kind of decks that have disruption. You
yeah,
can play Yellow Suffering, and it's an extra way to block the damage
awesome.
because all these attacks that go for 6 CNC, Weak Link, or things like that. They tend to go just for 6. So if you have, for example, Grasp of the Iron Knight or the chest, and also use the Seal of Suffering, that should be enough to block the attack.
All those attacks you said are correct, apart from CNC. That one's the only one. Flicker Wisp. Right. Go.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this.
I think all of us looked at this and went,
I think I solved this 2 pieces puzzle with Arc Lightning. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I saw Arc Lightning, I was like, I want to build a deck around this.
Yeah. Okay. So you put it in the sideboard. What is it? Tell me what is the purpose of Flicker Wisp first?
Okay. If you want to play against slow defensive decks, if you want to play the grindy deck, the grindy matchup, what you want to do is to combine Flicker Wisp with Channel with Arc Lightning. Sorry.
Yeah.
With Arc Lightning. Why? First of all, you play Flicker Wisp, fuse it, and do 2 arcane damage. Because Flicker Wisp will do 1 arcane damage, and it's amplified because of the Flicker Wisp.
Yes.
And then you play Arc Lightning. So every time you go again, you do 1 arcane damage.
Yeah.
Also, the card has go again. So at this point, you have made 4 damage. And you still have 3 cards in your hand. So the combination of these 2 cards may do a lot of damage.
Yes.
Then let's say you have a blue card and you trigger the gloves and then you trigger the weapon. You're doing 4 extra arcane damage. Let's say you use the legs and all your instant cards have go again. Remember that? And you have gone in a flash with 3 instants. Then what happened with Flicker Wisp and Arc Lightning? That you have made a turn with more than 30 damage. So if you want to play against a slow deck that is trying to fatigue you, you can just use Flicker Wisp and do insane turns, insane setups, and try. let's see how much arcane damage you can do.
Yeah.
Because also remember that this is amplifying the arcane damage. So if your opponent doesn't have Arcane Barrier 2, he cannot prevent all this damage.
No.
So you're doing 10 or 12 arcane damage during 1 turn. He can just block 6 if he has 3 1 IB.
And that's a lot. That is a lot for like these defensive heroes, right? Because I can see that this card, it has this really high ceiling, but if you're playing against other aggressive heroes or something that may disrupt you, that combination is just going to be like, yeah, probably might not work. But once you've got someone slowing everything down for you, yeah, I can see that you just need to just get this punch through, and this card seems to be a really cool card to do it.
Also, just an acceleration about this. If you play this one with Arc Lightning,
yeah,
Flicker Wisp say that if you all the action cards with effects that do arcane damage deal 1 more. All the arcane damage for Arc Lightning comes from Arc Lightning. I mean, it doesn't say when
yeah,
the
before
cards gain when you do go again do 1 arcane damage. Arc Lightning is the one who is doing 1 arcane damage. So if you trigger the gloves, if you trigger the weapon, you are doing 2 arcane damage.
Yeah. Before it was really weird, wasn't it? Because there was only like a handful of cards like Arcanate, Shockwave, Vex in Malice, and the other 0 for 3 card back in Tales of Aria, and it was like, yeah.
And also remember, if you're playing Shock or Burn Up, both parts both parts have the benefit of the +1 arcane damage. So if you play Burn Up with Shock, that card becomes a 0 for 7.
Okay. Right. That's really cool. That is really cool. Yeah.
This was my build around card. I have to confess that I wanted to do a deck that with Sonat Arcanics and Tome of the Iron Knight and doing 40 damage in 1 turn.
Right.
That was my initial shot to be here, but I'm playing a regular deck.
I think this is solid. I generally think this is just a very, very solid deck that anyone that wanted to pick up an Aurora deck would run this. I think it would do really well. It would do really well. Absolutely. And then you've got some maybe cards in here as well. I've seen that we have mentioned the Heart and Kostrop and Face Purgatory. Blink. I actually think Blink is sick. I think Blink is your easiest, like gone in a flash card that you could probably just throw in. That's the first thing that my little brain went through. Went, okay, cool, gone in a flash, resolution phase, play Blink, that comes into town, get the action point back again, play this again.
Yeah.
It's that makes gone in a flash be able to go do, just do that a few more times. But
Yeah.
what are you thinking? Like, why is this in the maybe?
Yeah, for me, this is contesting the slot with Heaven's Claw and Electrify.
Yeah,
I decided to remove it because it doesn't block,
yeah,
and I want a little bit more of three blockers to play against Disruption.
yeah,
But in the void, this is one of the best lightning cards you can include in the deck. As
yeah.
you said, you have a lot of combos to do during your turn. Having extra action points. It doesn't trigger with Art Lightning. It's not go again.
No.
Could be super good to have Blink go again. Lightning instant.
Yeah,
Could
if
be
it, if it
cute.
said if it
Could
said
be
go
cute.
again, if it said go again
Yeah.
rather than game on action point, broken.
Yeah, yeah. On the other hand, it works with the legs.
Yeah. Oh,
But Blink is one card that can go in or out of the build depending on what you're looking for. And the most obvious changes, as I said, is Electrify and Heaven's Claw. So if you want to experiment with it, you can do it. It's fine. Both ways are fine. I decided just go for the safe one.
sure. Is cut through the facade the weakest link in the Command and Conquer? Just to sort of wrap this up, they are tech cards for certain matchups like KO, Azalea, and cut through the facade. I don't know what that card's actually going in for. Like Enigma, but it's not. This card's weird. The wards will work. They just can't block with the aura cards from their hand. I mean, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they combine well with the weapon because if you have a blue card, you can go for two and then use weakest link or end up with a CNC. It's something that I still have to explore if it's really worthy.
yeah,
And on the other hand, it's a tech that we could include with Hearten's cross strap
yeah, yeah,
because maybe just including a few copies of this card, maybe only CNCs or only weakest link, and using the cross wrap may be useful because to be fair, Tunic is not that impactful in this deck because I don't know how long are the decks are the games, sorry.
sure,
So sometimes you cannot use the max value of the Funeral Sprint Training because it doesn't fit with your hand. It's everything costs zero and you don't need it, or you have a blue card, you don't want to use that extra resource.
yeah,
Sometimes the cross strap may be relevant, and having a little bit of disruption may be good for the mirror matchup.
yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Also, one extra thing, cross wrap has go again. So if you play Arc Lightning, it's just okay. I just let it there, okay?
Does
You can kill your opponent using your equipment. I use cross wrap and kill you with one arcane.
my days. Okay, but what about the cut through the facade? Eh, what's that doing?
Which one? Sorry.
Cut through the facade. This can't be defended by auras.
Yeah. I mean, if you want extra hate for Enigma or Prism, this is an extra bopper, and it's a majestic that I think we will see in many decks.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So it's extra hate. If you want to include one extra popper, you can run reclamation on this one. This one, the effect of this one is more focused on the meta, I believe, but the card blocks for two.
Yeah,
So I decided to include the rune reclamation, but both cards work well, and
sure,
also you can include both cards in the sideboard. So
sure. Fry 0 for 3. Just considering, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Is vanilla. Is absolutely vanilla. Maybe useful to start as a starter because it's aligning, has go again, but I will include other cards instead of Fry because unless if that card blocks for two, if hypothetically it will block for two, you can use it with the instant and could be something.
Mm,
But blocking for zero makes this card like you don't have decision making. You can only play it in attack, so I decided to drop it. I prefer the attacks, but maybe useful for the deck.
Yeah, maybe. And
It's
then
and it's a good replacement if you don't have any other of the majestics of the deck. Maybe if you don't have Enlightened Strike or you don't have
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
you can include this card. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. String of sorcery. Right, bro. What's okay. I feel like you're just leaning in now.
Yeah, so something inside me wanted to abuse the flicker wisp, okay? But also it's a way to do extra arcane damage if you want to close the games. The only problem with this card is that when you play Arc Lightning or you play Flicker Wisp, you are doing arcane damage at the point that you play the card. So those cards have one extra point of value.
Mm,
Sting of Sorcery is a blue card that could be included in the deck. I don't run it because it's not a lightning card and it's not Warmonger that fix your problems against Azalea essentially.
sure.
But if you want a way to push damage and try to finish the game, Sting of Sorcery is definitely a piece of the puzzle that can allow you to do arcane damage.
Awesome.
You can combine it with Arc Lightning, you can combine it with Flicker Wisp, and push damage.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, and that's it. That's it. We've done it. This is our
Okay.
first take of Aurora, dude. I mean, so first thing I want to sort of say is that what is Aurora's strengths in all this, right? It just seems like she's just straight up slamming damage.
Yeah, you can do a lot of damage during the game. I think it's really basic because the only thing you do is just hitting for 4. But it's a deck that makes the game progress because
Yes.
if you have the tempo and your opponent is just blocking, at some point with the weapon that swing for 2 and all the attacks that go for 4, at some point you are going to push damage, and especially with arcane damage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a deck that works really well against fatigue, but on the other hand, it works really bad against disruption.
Right.
And I said before, if you compare it with Fi, Fi, if you say Fi, okay, discard 2 cards. Fi say, okay, 3 go again, 3 go again.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Or 3 go in, 3 go again, flame.
Yeah.
But in this deck, if you discard some cards, maybe at some point you don't have go again because you need to play another lightning card, or the deck is weak against Red in the Ledger, is weak against Crippling Crash, Spinal Crash.
Yeah. All the cards that. Yeah. That just.
Maybe the deck at this point, this is the list that many people will end up, but at some point, I think that the build will evolve to a deck with more 3 blockers to play, or maybe more defense reactions, and maybe that's the way that people will play it in tournaments. However, in my opinion, is the best deck among the 4 decks that we have seen in Rosetta.
Oh.
Respect to the rest of my partners who are here doing decks, but I think Aurora is the best one of the 4 one. It's not my favorite,
No.
but now
But it's
I,
looking solid.
I prefer the Earth Heroes, but Lightning is have now is in my heart now.
Ah, okay.
Postilion Aurora is a really cool deck spot.
Any sort of shout outs you want to give before we sign off?
Yeah, obviously the Sunflower Samurais that are my team. Those are there always with me testing and preparing the tournaments. And I mean all the Spanish community and the people that are helping me to build this deck, because obviously I need someone to test with, and people who download all the TTS and test with me. I thank you a lot for doing all that job for me. Because I'm a little bit short of time this last weeks. So yeah, all of this, the Spanish community, the Sunflower Samurai, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, especially you can follow me, but also you can follow the Sunflower Samurai in Twitter.
I'll put it all in the link below. Thank you so much, everyone, and catch you on the next one.